Hello and welcome to the Good Morning Seniors YouTube channel. Have you ever found yourself caught in that universal mental loop, the one that whispers, I wish I'd done that differently, or maybe that nagging question pops up, is it actually too late for me to start over?
Oh, absolutely. That feeling is so incredibly common, isn't it? And we sort of get conditioned, I think, to believe life hands us this fixed expiration date on really growing or finding new joy or making any kind of big transformation.
Right.
But what we see again and again is that whether you're 40 or 60 or even pushing 80, honestly, the chance for reinvention, it's always there. It's within reach.
That is the core message we really want to drill down into today. We're aiming to cut through all that noise that kind of pushes us to just settle into routines. And that's why we're diving into today's topic, how to transform your life at any moment. Because the key insight, really, is that you don't need some massive, dramatic, life-shattering overhaul to rewrite your story. What you need is, well, consistent, motivated action.
That's it, exactly. We're taking that big, sometimes vague wish for things to be different, and we're going to translate it into 5 really powerful, actionable strategies.
Okay.
And these aren't just, feel-good ideas.
Yeah.
They're rooted in motivational wisdom, sure, but also in science-backed insights. And we'll touch on some really compelling stories of Americans who just proved age is, well, it's not the barrier we think it is.
Love that.
We're really focused on building a solid, durable foundation for more vitality, more fulfillment, starting, right now.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay.
Because we absolutely have to start with the essential thing, right? The prerequisite for any change that's actually going to last.
Yes. The absolute bedrock, the foundational requirement for any real transformation is the deep down belief that change is fundamentally possible for you. If you're holding on to that fixed, maybe even unconscious thought that, oh, I'm too old, or I'm just too set in my ways, or maybe I just don't have what it takes to change. Well, any goal you set, any habit you try to build, it's kind of undermined right from the get-go.
Right, it's like building on shaky ground.
Precisely. And this leads us straight to the concept developed by Dr. Carol Dweck, the growth mindset.
And this is more than just, thinking positively, isn't it? It feels deeper than that.
Oh, much deeper. The growth mindset is really this profound understanding that your abilities, your intelligence, even your capacity for developing physical skills, included, they aren't these fixed, innate limits you're stuck with.
Okay.
They're actually attributes that you can consciously enhance, that you can develop through, consistent effort and really focused learning.
That's a huge distinction.
It is. And we contrast this with the fixed mindset. That's the view where personal traits, things like I'm not athletic or I'm terrible at math, or the big one, I'm just too old to start a business, are seen as permanently set in stone. Done deal.
Yeah, I think a lot of people fall into that, especially after years of routine.
They do. It's easy to default to that fixed thinking. But adopting the growth mindset, particularly as we get older and maybe face some of those societal stereotypes about aging, it acts like this vital energy source.
How so?
Well, it allows us to look at major challenges, things like health issues, or maybe financial setbacks, or even the emotional hit from loss, not as these final insurmountable walls, but actually as genuine opportunities for growth, for building resilience.
Okay, so that shift in perspective.
Yeah.
It actually triggers real benefits.
Oh, definitely. The moment you make that internal shift, that quiet affirmation, like, okay, I can learn this, or I can adapt, the benefits start compounding surprisingly quickly. We found 8 specific, really game-changing wins that sort of cascade from adopting this growth perspective.
8. Okay, let's not rush through these.
Yeah.
Understanding how they work feels really important.
Agreed. First off, you get dramatically increased resilience. Think about it. When you see a setback, not as proof that you failed, but as essential data, maybe a necessary lesson, you immediately remove that heavy emotional weight of shame or feeling like a failure. This lets you bounce back much, much faster from life's inevitable curveballs.
So instead of giving up after, say, a health scare.
Right. You might become curious. You might think, okay, what lifestyle improvements could I explore now? It changes the whole response.
Makes sense. What's number 2?
Second, this shift provides boosted confidence. And we're not talking about, false bravado or just puffing yourself up.
Right. Real confidence.
Real self-efficacy.
Yeah.
Every small success, every single time you prove to yourself that putting in the effort actually yields progress, it builds on itself. This creates the genuine confidence you need to maybe take bigger leaps later on, whether that's tackling some complex new technology you've been avoiding or finally pursuing that ambitious travel goal you've dreamt about.
Okay. Resilience, confidence, What else?
Third is a really powerful cognitive benefit: enhanced learning and neuroplasticity. Being open to new experiences, trying new things, it literally forces your brain to build new neural pathways.
Wow. The brain fitness aspect.
Exactly. That openness, that curiosity, it's vital for keeping your brain sharp. And studies actively link it to reducing the risks of cognitive decline later in life. You're essentially protecting your brain just by staying curious, by being a lifelong student.
That's compelling. Okay, number 4.
The fourth benefit is relational. Better relationships. Think about it. If you believe that people, including your partner, your kids, even yourself, have the capacity to grow and improve, it naturally encourages more empathy, more patience, more forgiveness. You start moving past judging past mistakes, theirs or yours, and focus more on shared future growth. And that inherently deepens your bonds.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Less judgment, more understanding.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Fifth, and this is one many people are really seeking, is simply greater happiness.
How does mindset connect directly to happiness?
Well, fixed thinkers often suffer because they're focused on this idea of unattainable perfection. If they aren't instantly amazing at something, they tend to quit. It feels like failure.
Been there.
Right. Growth thinkers, on the other hand, focus on progress, improvement. That simple shift from harsh judgment to celebrating incremental steps forward leads to far more daily joy. And importantly, it drastically reduces that long-term regret.
Okay, that's a big one. Number 6.
Number 6, we see noticeable improved health. It's pretty well established now that chronic stress is toxic for the body.
For sure.
A positive, growth-oriented outlook quite literally helps lower those chronic stress hormones like cortisol. And lower stress supports better cardiovascular health. It helps with sleep. It strengthens your immune system overall. It's a physiological benefit.
Wow. Okay, connected to that.
Yes, connects seamlessly to the 7th benefit, the longevity perk. The research suggests a real link between having a growth mindset and living not just longer, but healthier lives.
Why is that? Is it just the positive outlook?
It's not magic, no. It seems to be because growth thinkers are generally more likely to seek out beneficial behaviors like regular physical activity or following necessary medical advice. They're more likely to stick with them too because they see those activities as investments in their future, not just ignoring obligations.
That makes perfect sense. They're playing the long game.
They are. And finally, number 8, which I love, is fun rediscovered.
Fun. Tell me more.
When you approach the world with curiosity, with a willingness to try new things you might even initially fail at, it sort of reignites a sense of playfulness that maybe got lost somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
Everyday adventures, trying a new hobby, even social interactions, they become exciting again, not burdensome chores. It brings back a lightness.
Okay, those 8 benefits are incredibly motivating, but how do we actually cultivate this mindset? It sounds great, but maybe a bit abstract for someone feeling stuck.
Totally understand. It's not abstract, though. It's practice. And we have an incredibly practical 1-week challenge to get you started. Just dedicate 10 minutes, only 10 minutes daily, to explicit mindset work. Think of it like internal weightlifting.
10 minutes. Okay, everyone can find 10 minutes. What do you do in that time?
The absolute key is catching those fixed thoughts in real time. You can start journaling or even just mentally noting those limiting thoughts as they pop up. For instance, if you catch yourself thinking, I'm just too old to learn this new photo editing software, immediately pause and reframe it. Maybe write it down. Okay, I can learn this photo editing software with some consistent, focused practice, just like I've learned other new skills. That conscious reframing is the practice. It's the mental push-up.
So it's about actively challenging those automatic negative thoughts.
That consistency is absolutely everything. Beyond just reframing, consciously surround yourself with positive input, curate your social environment a bit, maybe follow some inspirational accounts online, or join groups focused on learning something new.
Change your inputs.
Yes. And when a negative thought does pop up, because it will immediately challenge it, ask yourself, okay, what actual evidence do I have for this belief? Really? Why not me? Why can't I learn this? Force yourself to really justify the limitation. Often you'll find it just crumbles under scrutiny.
I like that why not question.
Yeah.
Simple, but powerful. And celebrate the small stuff, too.
Oh, definitely. Celebrate the effort, the daily wins, no matter how tiny they seem. Be kind to yourself. Practice self-forgiveness if you slip up. And maybe find some role models. Look for stories of late bloomers. They're everywhere.
Yeah, seeing proof that it's possible is huge. And you mentioned some fantastic, really motivating examples from across the U.S. that show the power of this mindset shift.
We did. Look at Julia Child. Most people know her as this iconic chef, right? But before that, she was living a pretty stable life as a government clerk, I think mostly in California. She had zero culinary background.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that different.
Oh, yeah. But she embraced a growth mindset, probably in her late 30s, moved to France with her husband, and just committed herself to learning how to cook, really learning. She didn't publish her masterpiece, Mastering the Art of French Cooking, until she was 50 years old.
50? That's incredible. Her whole life trajectory changed based on deciding to learn something new.
Completely. And her story isn't just history, It actively motivates aspiring cooks today, particularly in places like California senior centers. People in their 60s, 70s, they see her journey as permission. Permission to start small, commit to a craft, no matter their age.
That's fantastic. Who else?
Then there's the almost unbelievable resilience of Colonel Harlan Sanders, KFC. Based primarily in Kentucky for much of his struggle, he faced literally decades of failures. Restaurants, motels, even a gas station.
Wow.
Then, at 65, he's facing retirement with basically just a meager Social Security check. That's the point where most people would absolutely settle into fixed thinking, right? Well, I guess this is it.
Absolutely. Discouragement would be overwhelming.
But he didn't. He somehow embraced growth, got into his trusty car, and started driving around trying to franchise his fried chicken recipe.
At 65, he started the business model that made him a global icon.
That's when he started the successful part, yes. And he became an international icon by the time he was 80. His sheer persistence, driven by this unwavering belief that his recipe and his system could work. That story is directly credited with inspiring older entrepreneurs in Kentucky today, people over 60 in various business groups, often launching ventures fueled more by personal passion than just chasing wealth.
His resilience is just staggering. One more.
One more for mindset. Laura Ingalls Wilder. We know her for the Little House books, but she spent most of her life farming and teaching, moving around places like New York and Missouri. It was a commitment she made later in life, developing her passion for writing in her 60s, that led her to publish the very first book in that beloved series when she was 65.
65.
Yeah.
Started a legacy that defines American children's literature. That's amazing.
It really is. And her example specifically is known to motivate writers on the East Coast, particularly in senior workshops. We heard about people in their late 70s being inspired by her story to overcome their fear and finally self-publish memoirs or novels.
So the growth mindset. It's like the crucial ignition, the spark.
Absolutely. But, even the fastest engine, if it doesn't have a clear destination, it's just spinning its wheels.
Yeah.
You need a map. You need to know where you're going.
Exactly. Which brings us to our next pillar, that feeling of aimlessness. That constant, okay, what now? Sensation. It's a major driver of regret later in life.
Mm-hmm. Feels like wasted time or potential.
It does. Because without some clear direction, all that tremendous potential you have just goes untapped.
Mm-hmm.
And often it leads to inertia, right? Where the sheer overwhelming scope of making a change feels so big that it prevents you from taking any action at all.
Yeah, analysis paralysis or just feeling lost. Exactly. Setting clear, achievable goals acts as the map. It immediately gives you a sense of purpose. It takes that huge, overwhelming future and breaks it down into manageable, structured, even daily steps.
So it makes change feel less daunting.
Much less daunting. And this is where the brain science really kicks in again. Achievements, even the small ones, trigger the release of dopamine.
The feel-good chemical.
Well, yes, but it's more than just pleasure. Dopamine is crucial for motivation and anticipation. When you achieve a small goal, you get that little dopamine hit, which reinforces the behavior. It makes you feel good, and critically, it makes you want to pursue the next step.
So it creates a positive feedback loop.
A self-sustaining cycle of energy and happiness driven by accomplishment.
Okay, so if we want to harness that cycle, what are the specific rewards we get from being deliberate about setting effective goals?
Good question. First, they give you that instant purpose and direction. They banish the aimlessness and provide a compass for your days. Second, they lead to increased motivation, precisely because those small wins constantly refill your psychological tank, urging you forward.
Keeps the momentum going.
Absolutely. Third, they naturally enforce better time management. When you know what you're aiming for, you're forced to prioritize activities that genuinely align with that desired future.
Yeah.
This frees up mental energy you might have wasted on less important things.
Less clutter, more focus. Makes sense.
Fourth, you get that powerful enhanced self-esteem. Accomplishments, whether they feel big or small, build that deep foundational confidence we talked about earlier. And that equips you for making bolder moves down the line.
Right. Belief in your ability to follow through.
Yes. Fifth, there's tangible stress reduction. Honestly, having a clear plan, knowing what you're working towards, drastically lowers anxiety about the unknown future. Why? Because you feel like you're actively shaping it, not just reacting to it.
Taking control. I like that.
6, we often see health gains emerge naturally. When fitness or movement goals become specific, measurable steps like walk 20 minutes 3 times this week, instead of just vague desires like get healthier, they're much more likely to happen.
Turns wishes into actions.
Exactly. And 7th, don't forget fun integration. It's really important to make sure some of your goals are purely playful. Things like master that one song on the piano or try 3 new local parks this month. It keeps the whole process enjoyable, not just a grind.
That's a great reminder. Okay, so practically speaking, how do we start setting these goals effectively?
Yeah.
You mentioned a starter task earlier.
Yes. The starter task for this week is simple. Just list 3 to 5 goals. Try to pick ones that cover different life areas, maybe one for health, one for relationships, one for personal growth, perhaps something financial or creative. Just get them down on paper.
Okay, get them out of your head, then what?
Then you apply the most critical filter, the SMART framework. This is key. Each goal needs to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Okay, break that down. SMART.
Specific. What exactly do you want to accomplish? Vague won't cut it. Measurable. How will you know when you've achieved it? How will you track progress? Achievable. Is this realistic for you right now with your current resources and circumstances? Relevant. Does this goal actually matter to you? Does it align with your deeper values and where you want to go? And time-bound. When will you accomplish this by? It needs a deadline, even a soft one, to create urgency.
So a vague goal like, I want to travel more, is basically useless for this purpose.
Not much. It's a nice wish, but not an actionable goal. A SMART goal would be something like, I will research and book a 3-day weekend trip to visit my sister in the next state by the end of this month. See the difference?
Totally. Specific, measurable, booked, achievable, relevant,
Sister.
and time-bound. End of month. Got it.
Now, to really make these goals stick, you need emotional fuel. You need to visualize the success. Spend a few minutes each day really picturing yourself having completed the goal. How does it feel? What does it look like? This taps back into that dopamine system, generating motivation before you even take the first step.
Connect emotionally to the outcome.
Yes, and perhaps the most crucial piece for long-term success. We need to address intrinsic motivation. The goal must be tied to your core values, to who you are or who you want to become.
Why is that so important?
Because if you set a goal, say a fitness goal, simply because you think you should, or because someone else pressured you, it will always feel like a chore. And eventually, you'll likely quit when things get tough.
Extrinsic motivation fades.
It does. But if you set that same fitness goal, maybe improving flexibility because it aligns with your core value of being active and able to play freely with your grandchildren, well, that deep personal connection provides unwavering intrinsic fuel. That's the motivation that lasts.
Find the why that truly resonates with you.
That's the heart of it. And we see this intrinsic drive powering incredible late-life transformations when we look at some master goal setters.
Like who?
Well, think about Ray Kroc, who is based in Illinois for much of his key work. He purchased McDonald's when he was 52. He didn't just buy a couple of burger stands. He set incredibly aggressive, highly specific goals to standardize every single process and then franchise it globally.
Right, the system was key.
Absolutely. His vision was intensely measurable and specific down to the number of pickles on a burger. That clarity is why he was able to systematically transform the entire fast food industry and become a billionaire by the time he was 80.
Wow. And his story still inspires.
Definitely. It's routinely used to motivate business owners over 50, especially in the Midwest, various entrepreneurship classes. It demonstrates that the ambition to set clear, audacious goals truly doesn't diminish with age if the drive is there.
Okay, who else exemplifies this goal-setting power?
We can revisit Colonel Sanders through this lens, too. Think about his persistence, often working out of his car, driving endless miles to meet potential franchisees. That wasn't just random effort. It was rooted in the very specific, measurable goal of selling his chicken recipe and franchise agreement, contract by contract, starting at 65.
That relentless focus on the next contract, the next step.
Exactly. That kind of focused goal setting is the driver. And it's that specific example that still inspires seniors in places like Texas, especially those in startup groups, to pursue their own ventures with clarity.
And Julia Child again?
Her too. Operating often from her Massachusetts home later on, she set that highly specific goal back in her 40s to truly master French cooking, not just learn a few dishes, master it.
A high bar.
A very high bar. That clear, measurable objective is what drove her through years of study, practice, trial, and error. And that dedication continues to motivate women, particularly in New England culinary schools, to pursue passions they might have delayed, showing them the power of setting a clear, challenging goal.
Okay, so goals define the path. They give us the direction. But how do we actually travel that path day after day?
Yes. If the goal is the destination on the map, then our daily habits, well, they're the vehicle that actually gets us there.
Right. Makes sense.
And this is where it gets really interesting, where the rubber truly meets the road.
You know, when you really look back, that source of deep, abiding regret, it rarely seems to come from one single massive failure, does it?
No, you're right. It's usually more subtle than that.
It feels like it often comes from those small, maybe unhealthy habits, or sometimes just the absence of positive ones that just quietly compound over decades, without you even noticing sometimes.
That's a very astute observation. It's the slow drift. The strategy for transformation, then, involves flipping that script entirely, using the power of compounding, but for good, using small positive habits to create huge compounding results over time.
So harnessing that same compounding principle, but in our favor.
Exactly. This is where behavioral science becomes incredibly practical and effective. We build positive habits, whether they're related to nutrition, movement, mindfulness, learning, whatever, by starting almost microscopically small. And, critically, by leveraging our brain's existing architecture through a technique called habit stacking.
Okay, habit stacking. Explain that mechanism because it sounds really useful.
It's fascinating, actually. Habit stacking involves linking a new desired behavior directly to an established automatic routine you already do without thinking.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, think about something you do every day, automatically. Brushing your teeth, maybe.
Yeah.
Pouring your first cup of coffee. Taking the dog out.
Got it.
When you perform one of those established habits, a part of your brain called the basal ganglia, which is like the habit control center, is already active and primed. So by stacking the new habit immediately after that existing cue, you essentially bypass the need for willpower or making a difficult decision.
You sneak the new habit in on the coattails of the old one.
That's a great way to put it. So instead of relying on remembering, oh, I need to stretch today, which requires conscious effort, you create a specific formula. Immediately after I finish my first cup of coffee, I will perform 3 simple stretches right here in the kitchen.
Coffee equals stretches. Automatic link.
Automatic link. That automation is the transformation in many ways because it frees up all that mental space, that energy that was previously spent on just deciding whether to do the thing or when to do it.
Right. Less decision fatigue.
Exactly. Which allows you to enjoy life more, reduces stress, all while these positive behaviors are quietly improving your long-term health and boosting your overall energy reserves almost effortlessly.
Okay, so what are the specific advantages we see when people get consistent with these positive routines?
Well, first, you gain sustained energy. Things like regular movement, consistent sleep hygiene, balanced nutrition, they prevent those awful midday energy crashes that just sap your motivation for everything else.
Yeah, the 3 p.m. slump.
Exactly. Second, it contributes to a measurable longevity increase. You're proactively weaving behaviors into your life that are scientifically known to add not just years to your life, but quality to those years.
Health span, not just lifespan.
Precisely. Third, there's often an immediate happiness boost. The consistency itself can be calming, but also things like exercise or mindfulness practices directly release mood-boosting endorphins and help stabilize your emotional regulation day to day.
Builds emotional resilience too.
It does. Fourth, every single habit you master, no matter how tiny it feels initially, builds confidence growth and that sense of self-efficacy. You're proving to yourself daily that you are reliable, that you can follow through on your intentions. That's powerful.
Little promises kept to yourself.
Beautifully put. Fifth, and this is so essential in our often chaotic modern lives, is stress relief. Having reliable routines actually calms the nervous system. Having a predictable structure in your day reduces cognitive load and that background hum of anxiety about the unknown.
Creates a sense of order.
It does. And sixth, perhaps the most profound benefit in the long run. Positive habits lead to genuine regret prevention. By proactively managing your health, your learning, your relationships now through these small daily actions, you actively avoid accumulating those painful, if only I had started sooner, thoughts down the road.
Investing in your future self daily.
That's exactly it. So, for anyone listening who's ready to get their transformation engine running, here is the 1-week habit challenge. Choose one micro habit, just one, something tiny. Commit to stacking it onto an existing cue, and then just track the streak daily, tick it off. Even a tiny win streak builds momentum.
One tiny habit, stacked, tracked. Okay. Any other tips for making habits stick? Because consistency can be tough.
Oh, definitely. Remember the art of the habit hack. First and foremost, start tiny. Seriously tiny. Don't commit to a 30-minute walk if you're starting from zero. Commit to just putting on your walking shoes and stepping outside for 2 minutes. That's it.
2 minutes. That feels almost too easy.
That's the point. The ridiculously small action guarantees success on day one. It lowers the resistance. And it sets the stage for naturally doing more once the habit feels automatic. 2 minutes often turns into 5, then 10, without forcing it.
Okay, start tiny. What else?
Use cues. Make it obvious. Set alarms on your phone. Leave visual triggers out. Like put your vitamins right next to the coffee maker or leave your journal open on your bedside table. Make the cue unmissable.
Make it easy to remember.
Yes. And try pairing the new habit with some form of pleasure. This is called temptation bundling. Maybe you only get to listen to your absolute favorite podcast or a really gripping audiobook while you're doing your daily walk or stretches.
Link the want with the should.
You got it. And this next one is maybe the most crucial for long-term success, especially for people who struggled with consistency before. Forgive misses immediately.
Okay, tell me about that. Because the guilt can derail everything.
It absolutely can. Guilt is toxic to behavior change. If you miss a day, and you probably will at some point, do not beat yourself up. Do not spiral into thinking, oh, I've failed, I might as well give up. Instead, adopt the simple never miss twice rule. Just resume the habit immediately at the next opportunity. No drama, no judgment. Just get back on track.
Never miss twice.
Powerful. It really helps prevent one slip up from becoming a complete derailment. And maybe use the buddy system. Having someone to check in with can provide great accountability.
Makes sense. Now, do we have examples of people who built transformative habits later in life?
We certainly do. Incredible examples. Look at Grandma Moses, primarily associated with New York later in her art career. She only started painting seriously when she was 78 years old.
78.
Yes. And it wasn't some sudden burst of inspiration. She built a quiet, consistent, daily routine around her art. Just painting. This wasn't about launching a huge career initially. It was about the disciplined daily habit. And that habit ultimately led to international fame by the time she was 101.
Wow. So the habit came first, the fame followed much later.
Decades later. And her disciplined approach, that focus on the daily practice, still motivates older artists, especially on the East Coast, in various art classes. It shows them that the physical act of just starting the routine, showing up each day, is far more important than your initial skill level.
That's incredibly inspiring. Another one.
Another fantastic example of habit building leading to huge success is Vera Wang. Many people know her fashion empire, often associated with California, where she works now, but she didn't design her very first wedding dress until she was 40 years old.
40. After a whole other career, right?
Yes, in figure skating and journalism. She built her entire fashion empire through the slow, steady accumulation of small design habits, sketching routines, business practices. And her story inspires designers on the West Coast, particularly those maybe starting over or pivoting in their 50s and beyond, to focus on that consistent daily output, the power of routine.
The compound effect of daily creative work.
Exactly. And let's bring back Laura Ingalls Wilder one last time in her Missouri context. It was her commitment to the daily late-life writing habit, starting at 65, that actually produced that celebrated Little House series. The habit was the engine.
Okay, so habits are the engine, driving us along the path set by our goals, powered by the right mindset. But even the best engine needs fuel, right? And maybe mechanics sometimes. It can't just run in total isolation forever.
You've anticipated the next crucial piece perfectly. No, it absolutely cannot run in isolation. Isolation. It's like the silent killer of motivation, isn't it? And definitely of transformation. It just breeds regret. It can heighten feelings of depression. And it makes the already difficult task of changing behavior feel almost impossible to sustain long term.
Yeah, when you're totally alone with your struggles or your goals, it's so easy to just give up when things get hard. There's no one there to cheer you on or call you out.
Exactly. There's no one to hold you accountable when your own willpower inevitably dips. There's no one to offer inspiration when you're feeling low. And critically, there's no one to provide a different perspective when you inevitably hit a wall or get stuck in your own thinking.
So the antidote is connection.
Connection,
Yeah.
actively seeking support and deliberately building some form of community around your efforts. It fundamentally transforms your chances of success. Why? Because it provides that essential accountability you mentioned. It reduces the crushing weight of loneliness, which is a huge factor for many people, and it can exponentially amplify your success.
How does it amplify success?
Through shared knowledge, through collective encouragement, through seeing others succeed, it all builds momentum. This means actively looking for mentors, maybe joining focused groups online or in person, or even just finding one reliable accountability partner you can check in with regularly.
Okay, let's break down the specific benefits of cultivating that strong network. What does connection give us?
All right. First, the absolutely crucial accountability boost. Just knowing you have to report your progress or lack thereof to a group, or even just one friend, keeps the momentum going, especially on those days when your individual motivation is flagging.
External pressure, in a good way.
In a supportive way, yes.
Yeah.
Second, you gain critical emotional support. Changing your life can be hard. Sharing the burdens, the frustrations, but also celebrating the wins with others who understand. It lightens the emotional load immeasurably and validates your whole experience. You feel less alone in it.
Yeah, shared struggle, shared success.
Right. Third, connection provides essential new perspectives. When you're stuck in your own fixed thinking or facing a problem you can't solve, getting fresh ideas from people outside your immediate bubble can spark real innovation in your life, your career, your approach.
Breaks you out of your echo chamber.
Definitely. Fourth, having a network dramatically increases your resilience. Life throws curveballs. Having a strong social safety net, people you can lean on during tough times, can be the difference between just weathering a storm and feeling like you're completely sinking into despair.
That safety net is huge.
It is. And fifth, this one is backed by a ton of research, health and longevity. Strong social ties are profoundly linked to lower risks of chronic diseases like heart disease, better mental health outcomes across the board, and demonstrably added years to your life. Human connection is literally medicinal. It's that important.
Wow. Okay, that's a powerful case for connection.
Huh.
So how can someone listening take action on this right now? Maybe they feel isolated.
Okay, the 1-week community challenge. Just join one group, be specific. It could be a local book club, a gardening group, maybe a focused online forum related to a hobby you enjoy or a skill you want to learn, maybe even a fitness class at the community center. The goal is just to make the first move. Commit to attending one meeting, or if it's online, actively sharing one of your new goals within that community this week.
Just dip a toe in. What if someone feels really shy? Or maybe mobility is an issue?
Great question. Start online. Online forums or social media groups can be a fantastic lower pressure on-ramp. You can just observe and listen for a while first, get the lay of the land before you jump into commenting or sharing.
Makes sense. Lower barrier to entry.
Much lower. The key motivational tips once you're there are: try to be active eventually. Don't just be a passive consumer. Even small contributions, liking a post, asking a relevant question, offering a word of encouragement make a difference. And, importantly, try to give back. Supporting others in the group actually drastically increases your own sense of fulfillment and belonging.
The reciprocity effect.
Exactly. Also, consider diversifying your network. Don't just connect with people exactly like you. Seek out people who are maybe younger or older. Mixing ages and backgrounds brings a much wider variety of fresh perspectives and ensures you aren't just stuck listening to the same limitations echoed by your own peer group.
Good point. Avoid groupthink. Any stories of community making a real difference?
Oh, absolutely. We found several powerful examples. Consider a woman named Cynthia C. She was 57, based somewhere in the U.S., and really struggling to rebuild her life after a difficult divorce and some economic changes hit her hard.
Okay.
She made the conscious decision to actively engage in local support groups, specifically ones focused on navigating major life transitions. Her willingness to seek out that support, to share her struggles and learn from others in that community, it became this massive engine for her personal transformation. And apparently, her journey is now motivating countless others in similar groups who are facing those tough late life transitions.
Wow, so her seeking help ended up helping others too.
It often works that way.
Yeah.
Then there was this fascinating example from an online community, I think it was on Reddit. A 55-year-old person successfully launched a whole second career, almost entirely leveraging the advice, the practical tips, and maybe most importantly, the encouragement they found within a specific dedicated thread focused on career changes for older adults.
So the online community provided something their local network couldn't.
It seems so. Maybe more specific, granular advice, or just a critical mass of people who believed it was possible. That collective belief and practical help were apparently the pivotal factors. And that success story is now inspiring other Gen X users in that same forum to really invest time in building their professional and support networks, regardless of where they are in their careers.
The power of shared experience and belief.
It's immense. So, okay, we've got the mindset, the belief, we've got the goals, the map, we've got the habits, the engine, and now we have support the fuel and the pit crew.
Right. Seems like a complete picture. But is there one more piece, something that ties it all together and provides that deeper, lasting meaning?
Ah, yes. There is one final pillar, the one that truly anchors the entire transformation. You know, when we really examine the deepest sources of regret people express later in life, a common thread often emerges. It's this feeling that maybe their life was a bit too focused on the self, or perhaps too transactional, too consumed by immediate obligations like career or raising kids. And then when those obligations lessen, like post-retirement or when kids leave home.
Exactly. Many people confront this unexpected, sometimes profound sense of emptiness, a lack of clear meaning, a what was it all for kind of feeling.
Yeah, the what next? Void.
That's a good way to put it. The ultimate, most lasting transformation, the kind that leads to deep fulfillment, often comes from deliberately shifting the focus outward, giving back to others, volunteering time or skills, mentoring someone, maybe starting a passion project that benefits the community or cause you care about.
So moving beyond just self-improvement.
Precisely. Finding genuine purpose through contribution. It has this incredible power to re-energize your life. It drastically reduces that sense of emptiness we talked about. And studies consistently show it significantly boosts happiness, largely through experiencing your tangible impact on others.
It shifts the focus from what can I get to what can I give.
Beautifully said. It essentially moves the whole transformation journey from being solely about self-improvement to being about legacy building, about making a difference. Okay, let's look at the specific rewards of contribution like we did with the others. What does giving back provide?
All right. First, and perhaps most obviously, it fills that crucial sense of purpose void. It answers the what next question with meaningful action. Second, the happiness increase is often immediate and even biochemical. Helping others is known to release mood-boosting neurotransmitters, particularly oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which promotes feelings of well-being and connection.
The helper's high.
That's part of it, yes. Third, you often get this palpable feeling of energy and vitality. Seeing the positive difference your actions make in the world, however small, is incredibly energizing. It combats apathy.
Seeing results fuels more action.
It does. Fourth, the health boost is measurable and significant. Research consistently indicates that people who actively volunteer tend to have lower stress levels, reduced risk of depression, and even improved overall immune function compared to those who don't.
Wow, so it's good for the soul and the body.
Seems to be. Fifth, it is the fundamental mechanism for legacy building. You are actively choosing to leave a positive, lasting mark on your community, your industry, or the lives you touch. That provides a deep sense of meaning.
Creating ripples.
Exactly. And finally, don't underestimate the personal growth aspect. Service almost always forces you to learn new skills, whether it's organizing an event, learning to communicate with different kinds of people, or solving complex problems on the fly. It ensures you're constantly evolving and avoiding stagnation.
Keeps you sharp and engaged.
Okay, this sounds incredibly powerful. What's the action step here? How does someone find their avenue for purpose?
Okay, our final one-week challenge is the Purpose Challenge. Just find one potential opportunity this week and commit to one introductory session or action. That's it.
One session? Like what? It could be signing up online to mentor a young entrepreneur for just one call. It could be contacting a local animal shelter about an orientation session. Maybe offering to help seniors at the library with basic technology skills for an hour. The specific action isn't as important as overcoming the inertia and just starting the process of exploring contribution.
Again, lowering the barrier to entry.
Always. Start small. 1 hour a week is plenty to just test the waters and see how it feels. And critically, try to align the giving with your existing passions, skills, or interests.
Makes sense. Less likely to feel like a chore.
Right. If you were a great teacher, Maybe volunteer to tutor kids. If you love gardening, help out at a community garden. If you have business skills, offer pro bono advice to a small nonprofit. Leverage what you already enjoy and are good at.
And track the impact.
Yes. Pay attention to how the act of giving makes you feel, not just what you accomplish externally. That internal emotional feedback is your most powerful motivator for continuing. Note it down.
Acknowledge the positive feelings.
Absolutely. And hey, remember the community aspect. Involve your support system. Group volunteering can make the experience even more fun, and it deepens those social bonds we talked about earlier. Maybe even set specific contribution goals if that helps, like, I want to mentor 2 people through a challenging career decision this quarter, or I'll volunteer 10 hours at the food bank this month.
Make it concrete. Are there stories that really illustrate this purpose-driven reinvention?
Oh, some incredibly compelling ones. There was a story reported by WBUR in Boston about a 60-year-old woman who felt this profound restlessness after retiring from a very high-powered corporate job. It just felt adrift.
Yeah, common feeling.
She decided to channel all that energy and expertise into starting her own nonprofit organization, one focused on local community revitalization in her neighborhood. That single act, shifting her focus to a mission larger than herself, it completely transformed her life in her 60s. And her story apparently motivated countless other Boston area seniors who had felt similarly unfulfilled after retirement.
Wow, turning restlessness into positive action.
Exactly. We also saw that example mentioned earlier, the 50-year-old in the career change discussion. He initially started volunteering just to fill time, almost randomly, but he quickly found profound purpose in the work itself. He wasn't pursuing a new job anymore. He realized he was pursuing meaning. And that infectious sense of fulfillment became a real beacon for others in that online community who were also searching.
Sometimes purpose finds you when you start doing.
Often it does. And finally, there are numerous, often very moving success stories out there illustrating how individuals, even finding themselves facing significant personal loss, perhaps at age 60 or older, found incredible transformation and deep healing through giving back, turning grief into service. It's perhaps one of the most profound, purpose-driven paths to healing and renewal that exists.
Using pain to fuel purpose. That's incredibly powerful. Hashtag tech outro. Okay, wow. So let's try to synthesize everything we've covered in this deep dive today. We've really mapped out these 5 pillars of lasting transformation, haven't we?
We have.
It starts with the mindset, truly believing that change is possible for you. Then the goals, creating that clear map for your desired future, followed by the habits, building the daily engine of small, compounding progress. Then the support, actively seeking community to sustain your momentum. And finally, the purpose, giving back to find that ultimate fulfillment and meaning.
That's a great summary. And the consistent, almost overwhelming truth that emerges when you look at all these strategies, and especially the stories, it's just this. It is truly, unequivocally, never too late.
Never too late.
Never. The examples we touched on, Julia Child finding her calling at 50, Colonel Sanders franchising his massive legacy starting at 65, Grandma Moses launching a heart career at 78. They definitively prove that age is merely a statistic when it's met with consistent, motivated action.
So the biggest challenge we want to leave you, the listener, with today is probably not to try and implement all 5 pillars at once starting tomorrow. That's a recipe for overwhelm, right?
Oh, absolutely. Burnout City.
Instead, maybe just pick one element that resonated most strongly with you. Maybe it's just committing to reframing one single fixed thought pattern this week, or choosing one ridiculously tiny 2-minute habit to stack. Or maybe taking that first step to seek out one new online group related to an interest. Just start with one.
So what does all of this really mean for you listening right now? I think it means that transformation isn't some mystical event. It's fundamentally a slow, deliberate journey. A journey made up of small, motivated choices that you make consistently, compounded over time. The greatest barrier you likely face isn't really your age or your past experiences or your current circumstances. It's usually that limiting belief inside, the one that whispers you cannot start or you cannot restart.
We've seen today that small actions, taken consistently, really can define an entire legacy, especially later in life. So maybe you consider the next 5 or even 10 years of your life. If you were to apply just one of these 5 principles consistently, starting today, what completely new story might you be telling about yourself by the time those years are over?
That's the provocative thought, isn't it? What is the chain reaction you are ready to start right now?
A powerful question to end on. Thank you for joining us here on the Good Morning Seniors YouTube channel for this deep dive.
Yes, thank you. Hope it sparks something useful for you.
Absolutely. And if it did spark something, we'd love it if you'd like this video, maybe share it with a friend or family member who might find it helpful. And of course, please subscribe to the channel for more discussions like this one.
We appreciate your support.
We do indeed. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.